Good evening. Welcome to Martinez Life. I'm Tom Greerty. I have Tim Platt with us tonight. Tim's very involved in local matters and I thought, an excellent person to talk to. And thanks for coming on, Tim.
Well, thanks for the offer, Tom.
Yeah. How long have you lived in Martinez now?
Moved to Martinez in 1981, so 23 years. Long time, great community, and this is home as far as I'm concerned.
How did you find Martinez? I mean,
it's interesting. I tend to be a little bit of a wanderer, and one day years ago I was driving some of the back roads of the Bay Area, and I hit Highway 4. Drove down through the hills and passed into Martinez, and I was just astounded. Beautiful country, so reminiscent of where I came from, upstate New York. And I said to myself, this is unique for the Bay Area, at least the part that I've seen, and this is where I'd like to end up living. And slowly I was able to maneuver around buying this house and moving here and there and whatnot to end up at Martinez.
And you're an engineer type guy, right?
Right. I do technical sales and technical marketing for a company that works with basically OEM manufacturers of electrical.
You grew up in upstate New York?
Yes, I was born in the Finger Lakes area.
That's beautiful country.
Oh, it is. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Tough in the winters, but it's
really tough winters.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
You did a little time in Princeton too, so you must have got good grades.
Yeah, I did okay. I was down there for a couple of years, and great college. What an educational institution.
Well, you're applying the pressure in Martinez. You're in the newspaper a lot. And I see you at city council meetings when I watch them on public access. Comcast provides that. Those can get theatrical.
I'll tell you, there are very critical issues that our community's facing now. And a lot of times in those meetings, tempers and tend to rise around the criticality of the issues. I think that everyone who's in our city council and comes to those meetings and speaks has the right heart.
Yeah.
But sometimes opinions can really differ.
Well, there's the big political issue coming up in March, Measure M. Right. What's your position on that?
Very clearly, I think we should all vote no on Measure M. Measure M is a measure to ask the populace of Martinez whether or not there should be a redevelopment agency in our town. And I think it's very clear to me that there should not be a redevelopment agency in our town, that it's a bad answer to our efforts or our goal to try to revitalize our downtown and to try to make our downtown vibrant and active. Redevelopment agency, very frankly, has a lot of bad powers that it tends to give to a very small group of people, powers like eminent domain, where the people who run the redevelopment agency, which typically would be the city council members, sitting as a separate body, have the ability now to take a private home or a private business and force the owner to sell, whether the owner wants to or not, and then they can turn around and take that very same property and almost give it away. They literally can give it away to a developer or to another landowner for a purpose that they feel is better for the redevelopment agency. I think that's a power that we don't need to have bandied about in our community. The other big thing that really concerns me about a redevelopment agency, Tom, is that it has tax consequences for the city. A redevelopment agency will divert property tax income dollars that should go to our city, and it will put them in the hands of the redevelopment agency instead. And our city has enough tightness of budget now that we can't afford to not get every ounce of tax dollar that should come to our city. This happened in Concord. The county auditor's office provided this information. This happened in Concord in 1 year alone. Over $1 million that would have gone to the city of Concord in property tax income was diverted to their redevelopment agency. So this is a significant issue, the tax diversion issue of a redevelopment agency. And there are all sorts of other things that concern us about redevelopment. The fact that public bonds can be issued without any public vote, the fact that the rules can be changed and the project areas and so many of the other aspects of a redevelopment agency can be changed, and the only way the public has any way to protest that is to either go to court or to do a referendum in 30 days. And you know how hard it is to do a referendum. So essentially, once the redevelopment agency starts, it is a law unto itself with tremendous powers that we think are not good for our community. And the flip side of that is redevelopment agencies.
I want to ask you,
excuse me.
Where do you live in town?
I live on Pinion Drive, 843 Pinion Drive.
That's off Shell, isn't
That's
it?
right off of Shell, right on the crown of Shell Hill there, as it were.
So that's pretty close to the downtown.
It is. I love the downtown, and we also are close enough to Shell, and we're close to Mountain View, and then we're also close to the south of 4 areas. In fact, we do a lot of our shopping down at the Nob Hill Shopping Center, as well as coming downtown when we can.
So you belong to the groups that are engaged in the anti-redevelopment or against Measure N group.
Right, against Measure M. There is an issue with the wording. Redevelopment is sort of a slang word for a redevelopment agency, and we oppose a redevelopment agency. We are all for the whole idea of revitalizing our town and revitalizing our downtown, but there are many, many ways to do that. A redevelopment agency is a government-sponsored way of trying to do that, and it's a government-sponsored way that usually is not too effective in a town like ours. And we oppose that method.
Let me just say to you, whether you know this or not, I grew up in downtown Martinez, and my father was the director of the Chamber of Commerce for a long time, from the 40s through the 50s until I graduated from high school. And I've experienced the slow decline of the downtown commercially, you know, and I work there. But it's still, for me, a great place, and it's a slowpoke place, which in the Fast Bay area, to me, is not a bad thing. But I want to hear, and I also recognize that what's happened to the traditional classic Main Street downtown has happened all over America. In fact, it's happening in France now, in the little villages that are getting really eaten up by the big type of Walmart, Costco type thing that's outside the village. And the old village shopkeepers are experiencing what our merchants began to experience in the 50s and then the 60s, and when it picked up speed. But what ideas do you have then for revitalization?
Well,
do you have ideas?
Oh, yes. Actually, I've
they?
been very involved with that for many years. In fact, I went to the extent of writing a 20-page suggested scenario on how to revitalize our downtown over 4 years ago. My background is in sales and marketing. I'm vice president of market development for a small company out of South San Francisco. When we want to take a product and increase its sales, which is what we want to do in our downtown, we want our downtown to have more income coming to it from people visiting it and buying things there. We look not at building buildings or building structures. We look more at what is unique about our product, our downtown, and what gives our downtown an advantage over other areas, the shopping centers, the shopping malls, the Sun Valleys and whatnot. And then how do we improve that? And then here's the key thing, identify the groups, the consumer groups that would be attracted to that and go after them. Tell them about our downtown, tell them what we're doing to change, tell them what we're doing, what we have to offer, and invite them to come on down and have some fun. And I think that's
Main
where we
Street
meet.
is doing that to a degree. I went to two events that Main Street put on.
Yeah.
One was the Christmas thing, the kickoff
Right.
the parade. That was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it was great weather, like Martinez has got, and it must have been thousands of people downtown, and everybody was in a good mood.
Yep.
I mean, it was a tremendous. It was like the old days when Ev Vanny and my dad and Wink Keller and those guys would be down there pushing that. And the other event was I went to the New Year's Eve event. That was another great event put on by Main Street. So kudos for Main Street on that, and you're a member of it. I saw it on your. I know that you're a member of that.
Yes, very active, and Main Street was one of the founding members. I love the organization. Give credit where credit is due. 3 years ago, Main Street helped with the Chamber of Commerce to save the first night event. But since then, independent boards, this year a board led by Dennis Platt, good downtown merchant, put on and made the first night effort so very, very successful. So just so we're clear on that. But that kind of effort is part of the issue. The other part is that we have to say, look, if we're trying to attract people from south of 4 to come to our downtown, what do they want that the downtown doesn't have now? And it revolves around variety of stores and variety of activities. And we know what stores we should have downtown, and we know what activities we should have. So that's where we should be spending our effort as a community and as a city. We should be saying, look it.
Is the city doing anything about that?
Small efforts, but the city's direction primarily, and I think it's almost an institutional bias, is to figure they can build their way into prosperity, and that does not work.
You know what makes me mad? They took the old fishing boat down. the historic monument, it may not mean anything to you, but to people that are from Martinez that were affiliated with that, or believed in it, or loved it, or appreciated it, what'd they do with that boat? I mean, it left in the middle of no notice, nothing in the paper, nothing in city council, and they just took it. It's gone. That upset me. And the other thing is that we had a restaurant down at the marina, and there's been not one. They don't bulldoze the building. I mean, what's going on? How hard is it to keep a restaurant with a building?
And I think you're hitting on the real issue. The issue is for us to get the stores and the restaurants, the entertainment places, the specialty stores, the gift stores, whatnot, that our people would come downtown to enjoy, and the people from other communities would come downtown to enjoy. That's a totally different effort than talking about doing a lot of building. And I think that's the direction that we should put more of our effort into.
The part of the building that I have the most problem with, I like the idea that downtown Martinez does not have a lot of traffic. Okay, it actually has in the morning on a court day a lot of traffic on Las Juanas Street, but it's much more easygoing. You can jaywalk there, and I love to jaywalk, and it's pretty safe to do that there. But the problem I have with increased housing is that almost all the construction I see downtown is for tenants. It's apartment type or tenants, not homeowners, okay? I know there's a unit going on the corner now of Castro and Masonic. And that is, I mean, what are those units, like 600 square feet?
Right.
I mean, those are really small. So you see, from my perspective, where the government is at, the city is at on this, what they're preferring. And there's another now construction going on the corner of Main and Barralesa. That's another. So almost all of the construction is tenant oriented.
Right.
Almost all the construction on the other end of town, the south end of town, if you drive out by Forest Hills, those new homes that went just before Forest Hills are the ones that are across the street at the bottom of Muir Oaks. Those are big, nice homes, homeowners. The Martinez that I've always grown up with was about families.
Yes.
You are known by your last name and your brothers and sisters and everything. It was families. But we're moving into an era here, especially with shaping our futures, where it's top-down control, top-down planning, where the regional people tell us what they want us to do. It's open wide, Martinez, and swallow. And the part I don't like about it is it's swallow tenants, swallow transients, not families. And that's the part that bothers me the most.
And I can
What's your response?
I appreciate that, and I agree with you. I think that our town should move forward with the infill housing and the lots that are open in our town all over the downtown area.
And there's a lot of lots.
There are probably room for several hundred dwelling units. I don't know the exact number. We have 900 down there now. Maybe there's enough room for another 100, 150. I don't know the exact number. But we should try to, as much as we can, move in the direction of family-owned, owner-owned residential units. I think that the idea, however, that that's going to revitalize the downtown is one that we need to be real careful of, because it has not proven that to do that in other communities. I think we should be building housing downtown because it's appropriate and it's zoned that way, but not with the idea that it's going to end up making our downtown revitalized and active.
So you are not a proponent of the proposed master plan, which was not adopted by the city of Martinez, but it was put on the website and certainly bandied about, and a lot of money was spent on it through consultants, like $350,000.
That's right.
And that proposed master plan did recommend, as I recall, to remove some height limits and density limits. So we're talking about 5 stories, 6 stories, and higher densities. What do you know about that?
Well, actually, I sat on the committee that developed that plan, and I had major objections to that plan all the way through. And I, with a person I respect a lot, Bill Wainwright, led the community opposition to that plan from the day that it started to take form.
Wainwright was not on the committee because he wasn't allowed to be on the committee.
That's right, he was not on the committee, but between the two of us, we were very vocal. We held public sessions talking about that, and that plan recommended our city look at up to 3,000 new dwelling units in a downtown that is full now with only 900 dwelling units. It would have changed the entire nature of our downtown. There was never a connection in that plan. They call it plan, it's not a plan. Never a connection drawn between all this housing and whether it would have any effect at all on the vitality of our downtown. And I'll tell you the problem with that. They can't say that, because the same reason that people aren't shopping in our downtown now is the same reason that new tenants or new homeowners downtown wouldn't shop in our downtown were you to build that housing in the future. And you can look at Pittsburgh as an example, as a perfect example. Good community, nice, quaint downtown, similar to ours, sort of landlocked, not close to a freeway. They've built all sorts of high-density housing around it, and their downtown is still languishing. Housing around the downtown is not the answer to revitalization.
Pittsburgh is definitely, for the people that are proponents of redevelopment, everybody's got to admit Pittsburgh has been a disaster redevelopment-wise. Almost all of the river towns have been a disaster. The town that's doing the best along the river is Benicia. You know, and it does not have a redevelopment agency.
Correct.
And they've got vibrancy there, and I mean they don't have a great downtown, but it's easy going.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's safe. You know, that to me are the great amenities. Is it's safe. It's easy going. You know, you do have places to go and enjoy yourself. There's coffee. There's restaurants. There's certain things to shop, but you're not going to get this high-end stuff. You know, all these big stores. I love Walnut Creek, or I like Walnut Creek. I'll say that. I go over there from time to time, and their stores are phenomenal. Yeah. It's phenomenal what they're doing over there. I don't know how they can keep all of that going, but you know, Walnut Creek has always been a natural because of where it's 680 and 24 come together. It's a natural, and almost all of the wealth in the county has been in the East Bay has been heading towards Walnut Creek.
Right.
I mean, even Oakland kind of came up over the hill. You're talking lawyers, law firms, which I know, and insurance companies. They left Oakland and came to Walnut Creek some time ago. Some of them did, anyway. You know, so.
Well, and I think you've hit on a key point. We need to say, what is our nature, what is good about Martinez, what is unique about Martinez, and build on that to bring people to our downtown. We can't be a Walnut Creek. We shouldn't be a Walnut Creek. But we can be the small town that's easy to get around, that's comfortable, filled with friendly people and interesting shops.
There was a proposal about building homes where the old cannery site is.
Yes.
Right. Oppose it or for it?
We held a public meeting opposing it. We helped stop that bad idea that was on fill land. It was a major incursion into one of our most beautiful amenities, Waterfront Park, sitting right next to the wild areas, the open space areas of Waterfront Park. It was landlocked. It was by a railroad track that carries toxic train loads. It was totally inappropriate for our community. And it tried to get snuck through the process. This is the thing that I think upset an awful lot of people. There was not advance notice of it. There wasn't a lot of opportunity for the public to have input. And we are very glad that East Bay Regional Park stood up and said you need to do a full EIR. The city was going to let it go through without an EIR, and that those of us in the community that said the same thing were able to get that project set aside. Totally inappropriate. Density wrong, height wrong, and the wrong place, in my opinion.
Tim, you ran for city council, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And you almost won.
Close.
How many votes?
474, 400
and you had a total of?
3,562, something like that. Close to that.
3,562.
Right.
Yeah.
So I came in third, and only the first two make it.
Well, I know, but you know, what's his name? Bill Polachek, who's now our county treasurer. I think he ran more than once.
Yeah.
And Linda Lewis ran more than once, and Beverly McDowell ran more than once. So there's, you know, I hope you stay involved and you continue. I think you are staying involved. You're a committed person. You seem to me very committed. You're very knowledgeable on these things.
This is our home.
Yeah, well, that sounds good.
We all need to work hard to make sure that it stays the home we want.
Well, I've always felt it's a great place. I'm a little concerned when I look at Martinez that it's always been, you know, a working town. It's been a union town. It's been a waterfront town. It's been a democratic town. Democratic Party very powerful in Martinez. Ethnic town, Italians and what have you. And a county town, a courthouse town, very much so, always has been. But at the same time, I see some attrition in the downtown because we seem to have more and more of the Section 8 type housing, right? And that, again, to me, is more and more rentals. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I think we need code enforcement.
Code enforcement, maybe zoning that actually encourages the kind of owner-occupied housing that you're so much in favor of and that I agree with. I think that's an issue. Our town has always done more than its share to take care of those who are having a hard time in our society. And I think it's perfectly all right for us to also now start looking at doing what we need to do to make our downtown area more vibrant, not shirking our duties in any way whatsoever. So it would be good.
Who's
if-
going to win the Measure M thing? Which side do you think is going to win?
I think we're going to prevail because I think people realize how important our town is and the dangers that a redevelopment agency and the, has in it, and the false promises that come from a redevelopment agency. I think they also are beginning to understand that we can revitalize doing the things we're doing. We've got a new gift shop in our town, we've got a magic store coming in, we've got a great new restaurant in our downtown. If we put our full efforts in that direction, rather than spending so many of them on these plans and this infighting, we could turn downtown around pretty quickly to make it the
Even Mark
town we
Ross
want.
was recently on the witness stand, and he said, we won't go into that, but he said that it was plan number 150th
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
You know, how many of these plans have we had to do these things over the years when some of the little things like a restaurant at the marina,
Yep.
or instead of taking down that boat, painting it
Yes.
and putting some new boards in it
Yep.
and being proud of that kind of
That's
stuff
it.
is what really the town needs.
Yes, and that's what would bring people to our town.
Yeah.
Building on the strengths that we have. Our town is famous for that. Let's go out and make people want to come on here to enjoy
Yeah,
that
and
with
I'd
us.
like to see him fill in some of the parking lots. We got too many parking lots downtown. You know, really.
Well, the Willows Theater has a good opportunity of doing that with a couple of the parking
Where
lots.
are they gonna go?
Well, they're talking about a couple of locations over on Green, and also the Ferry Street parking lot. And I think they've chosen one final location, but nothing's in stone until the money's
do they have
committed.
the Moneda?
Being raised now, very, very forceful and professional group of people working on that. Wide community support. I think our city has some ability to be part of that also. There are federal and state grants, so it's in the beginning stages of raising the money. Community support totally behind it now. And I think that's great. And that alone would be enough
Didn't
to
you have the
revitalize
backing-
our downtown.
Didn't you have the backing of some of the unions in your last race?
Yes, yes. I was very proud to have backing of many of the union people in the back in
You're
the
pretty
last
good
race.
at politics then. You got to have the unions in Martinez, they used
Yes,
to say
yeah.
anyway. I don't know if it's true, but I
They're,
guess it is.
they're good people and good supporters. And,
Yeah.
and I hope that I continue
Did you go
to
door
support.
to door?
Oh, lots of walking. I'll tell you, I lost about 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Actually, I needed to. And I've met a bunch of great people.
Yeah.
So
What high school did you go to back east? I know you didn't.
Bethlehem Central Senior High.
Yeah.
It was a huge school back in those days. I think we had 2,000 students in that school, and of course right in the middle of the baby boom generation.
Yeah.
But it was a neat school. You'd walk to it, you knew most of the people there.
You ever
Good
tell any of
place
those
to go
people
to.
you grew up with or your family members to move to Martinez?
I'm keeping this beautiful place a secret. You know,
Are you
let them
really?
come on down and visit, but they don't need to move. I like this just for myself. I hope that's not too selfish.
Yeah. You like the marina waterfront, all that?
Oh, I love it. I'm a hiker, and I'm a hiker and a biker, and the waterfront is absolutely wonderful. I love getting up in the hills. We worked real hard to try to save those hills above Alhambra Avenue, the ones that run all the way from
Franklin Hills.
Yeah, right, the Franklin Canyon Hills, the Franklin Hills, and they're just beautiful for hiking. That's a great place to
Yeah, that
place
is.
to
Your wife's a
go
book
and relax.
editor, isn't she?
She does editing and writing and technical editing as well as commercial. And she also is real active in the Land Trust, the Muir Heritage Land
I've
Trust.
seen her with Tina Batt
Yeah.
before, yeah.
What a great group too. Gee, starting 10, 12 years ago from just a little idea and now a major help in preserving
Are
land
you involved
in
in
this area.
that too?
I am involved in the periphery. I actually was one of the founding directors of the Muir Heritage Land Trust back in 1990, I believe it was. But I've spent most of my time recently with the Main Street Martinez Incorporated group, the group
Good.
that's aiming to try to revitalize and
Well, keep up the good work, and I'll see you out on the The hustings, I'm sure you'll be
Yeah.
walking door to door or
You
whatever.
got it.
You guys going to walk door to door on this thing?
We already are. We're walking door to door. We're having great fundraisers and barn dances. And
Yeah, I heard there was a barn dance.
oh, it was a kick.
Was that a
Tom, you would have
success?
loved it. Yes, they were.
The Gazette didn't think it was a success, but
Oh, the Gazette, what do they know? It was a good party, and it
Yeah.
was full of energy, full of the great people that we love in Martinez, from 5 years old to 80 years old.
where
And,
was the barn at?
out on Franklin Canyon, I want to say, I think it was Dutra Road, but I may be wrong about that.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually the barn that's the entry to the Sky Ranch.
That's where Nick Campagna does the horses.
I think that you
Was
got
there a
it.
bunch of horses in there?
Not for the party.
No, I mean
They might
around.
They might have been next door. Yeah, right.
Romeo's might be involved in that.
I
or something,
I
yeah,
think
okay.
so. What a
Well,
good
that's
time.
yeah, that's a good barn. But it's cold, isn't it?
Not by the time we got dancing. Let me tell you, they had a band there, and I got the Robert Perrys and the Brian Walkers and Jim Carumpus. What a job they did, and Stan Riggs, I think his name was. The whole party was great. No one was cold. Let me tell you.
Tim, I got to run. The guys are
Good
saying
seeing
that's
you.
it. Nice talking to you, getting to know you. You're a nice man. Good luck next time.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Until next time, this is Tom Greerty with Martinez Life. Thank you.